Before you chase anything in this world, you must first recognize the true battleground, the one inside your own head. This is where empires are built and dreams are dismantled. Every thought, every fleeting notion carries the weight of consequence. Too often men and women believe their minds are passive companions, mere vessels for ideas that come and go. Yet Napoleon Hill, in his timeless wisdom, would tell you that undisciplined thinking is the root of every failure, the silent assassin of potential. Your mind is not innocent. It is either a faithful ally or a treacherous enemy. And the first step toward greatness is to confront it without flinching, without excuse, and without denial. Understand this: the chaos you feel, the self-doubt, the procrastination, the moments of hesitation, these are not random. They are your mind speaking, shaping reality in ways you have not yet mastered. Left unchecked, they will erode your ambition, hollow your resolve, and whisper lies of inadequacy until you surrender before the battle even begins. The war is subtle, but it is constant. It does not wait for convenience or comfort. It strikes in the quiet moments, when vigilance falters, when courage feels thin. Recognizing this war is the first act of the warrior. The first enemy you must face is distraction. Modern life offers endless diversions, each one a gentle erosion of focus. The notifications, the chatter, the endless urgencies that scream for attention, they are the skirmishes of the mind, designed to scatter your energy and fragment your purpose. If you allow them to command your mental stage, you will find that your true ambitions remain unfulfilled. Discipline begins with awareness. See the distractions as they are, intruders upon the sacred territory of your thoughts, challenges to your ability to think with clarity, strategy, and intent. Next comes the subtle foe, the internal saboteur. This is the whispering voice that plants seeds of doubt and fear, that insists your dreams are impossible, that convinces you the path is too hard, the goal too distant. It will tell you are not ready, not capable, not deserving. These thoughts masquerade as caution, but they are rebellion. They are the mind's attempt to resist its own greatness. To fight this war is to name these voices, to recognize them for what they are, and to replace them with the command of deliberate thought. Each act of recognition strengthens your discipline. Each refusal to yield erodes the power of fear. Confronting your mind also requires facing indecision. Every delay, every vacillation, every maybe later is a surrender to mental chaos. The mind that wavers becomes fertile ground for the erosion of ambition. You must cultivate the habit of clarity, the ability to choose, to act, to decide with confidence even when certainty is absent. This is the first proof of mastery over your mental realm, to act in spite of uncertainty, to claim dominion over the battlefield within, to move forward even when the enemy of hesitation lurks in the shadows. But there is a profound truth that Napoleon Hill teaches, and it is that the mind, once disciplined, becomes the most powerful force in the universe. It is not merely a vessel for action. It is a magnet for opportunity, a generator of ideas, a builder of empire. The noise, the whispers, the distractions, all are neutralized when you command the inner citadel of your thoughts. When you master the mind, external obstacles lose their dominion. Your vision becomes clear, your focus unbreakable, your resolve inexhaustible. Now the work begins. Begin by observing your thoughts without judgment. Identify the voices that weaken you, the impulses that distract you, the fears that mislead you. Then, deliberate consciously, replace each undermining thought with a thought of strategy, purpose, and certainty. Command your mental environment as a general commands a battlefield. Understand that every victory you will ever achieve begins here, not in the market, not in the office, not on the stage, but within the fortress of your own disciplined mind. Recognize the war, name your enemies, claim dominion. Let your thoughts serve your highest ambitions, not your doubts. Let them build your empire rather than dismantle it. For it is only when the mind submits to purpose, only when thought is disciplined, that action becomes meaningful, that courage becomes unstoppable, that dreams become inevitable. The first battle has been set, and the victor will be the one who refuses to surrender to the chaos within. Many believe that motion alone is the path to success. They rise early, fill their hours with tasks, and chase goals with fervent energy, believing that speed itself guarantees victory. Yet Napoleon Hill, in his timeless wisdom, teaches us that action without alignment is the deadliest form of self-deception. A man running in the wrong direction is no closer to triumph than a man who waits. The universe does not reward frantic activity. It honors purpose, clarity, and the harmony between thought and will. Without mental order, every movement scatters energy, every effort dissipates potential, and every ambition becomes a ghost, haunted by inefficiency. Before you take a single step toward your goal, you must pause and survey the battlefield of your own mind. This is not laziness, nor hesitation. It is preparation. It is the silent work that turns ordinary motion into extraordinary momentum. Consider the countless hours spent pursuing objectives without reflection, without strategy. These are wasted energies, illusions of progress. The hands may labor, the body may tire, but the mind, unaligned, moves in circles. Victory is not measured in effort alone, but in purpose-guided effort. The first truth you must accept is that clarity is the foundation of all achievement. The mind, left to wander, becomes a maze of conflicting desires, competing priorities, and untamed impulses. Each thought without direction, each plan without intent, is a potential derailment. To act without alignment is to fight a war with weapons drawn but without knowing the target. You may strike, but you will strike randomly. You may move, but you will move toward nowhere. The illusion of action seduces the impatient and punishes the unprepared. Alignment requires a deliberate marriage between thought and will. Your mental vision must be precise. What is it you intend to achieve, and why does it matter? Desire alone is insufficient. It must be coupled with understanding, with discipline, with the courage to silence competing impulses that distract from the main objective. The will, that inner engine that propels action, must follow thought with unwavering fidelity. Without this unity, action becomes a cacophony of movement without meaning, a parade of effort that serves no master. Consider the man who wakes each day with a list of tasks, but no guiding principle. He checks boxes, moves from one engagement to another, and yet when the day ends, he finds himself exactly where he began, weary, frustrated, unfulfilled. This is the manifestation of unaligned action. Speed alone cannot substitute for direction. Activity without conscious order produces exhaustion, but not progress. Motion, but not movement. Busyness, but not accomplishment. The transformation begins when you stop glorifying motion and begin revering alignment. Observe your thoughts as they arise. Name them, understand them, and assess whether they serve your higher purpose or merely feed your illusions of productivity. Ask yourself, does this action reflect my deepest intentions, or does it satisfy a fleeting impulse? Are my efforts marching toward a defined horizon, or am I a soldier moving without orders? Only when thought and will converge does action gain force. Only then does effort resonate with destiny. Napoleon Hill reminds us that the universe bends to the power of directed, harmonious intention. When thought and will are aligned, every step, no matter how small, accumulates, compounds, and carries momentum toward the ultimate goal. The smallest action, guided by clarity, eclipses the grandest effort performed without order. Alignment is the silent multiplier, the unseen force that transforms ordinary effort into remarkable achievement. Now recognize the subtle signs of misalignment: frustration, fatigue, repetition without progress. These are the signals that your action is untethered from purpose. Pause, reflect, adjust. Direct your will to follow the clarity of your thought and let every movement serve the vision you have chosen to manifest. In this disciplined alignment, you discover the secret that so many overlook. The true measure of progress is not in movement itself, but in movement that reflects your highest intention. Finally, understand that alignment is not a static state. It must be maintained, renewed, and protected daily. The mind is fluid, desires shift, distractions abound, and only by continual attention can thought and will remain synchronized. This is the essence of mastery over motion, to act with intelligence, with purpose, and with an unbreakable inner order. When you achieve this, you will find that the pace of your progress accelerates, obstacles diminish, and the world conspires to meet you at the intersection of preparation and action. Do not chase speed. Do not glorify busyness. Command alignment. Let your thoughts, your will, and your actions march together as one. Let the harmony within become the force that carries you forward. Only then does motion cease to be illusion and become the instrument of triumph, the undeniable proof that you are not merely moving, but advancing toward your destiny with purpose, power, and precision. The mind is a battlefield, and every man and woman is its general whether they know it or not. Yet too often we surrender command, allowing impulses, distractions, and fleeting doubts to dictate our direction. Napoleon Hill would tell you that victory in life is born not in circumstance, but in the mastery of your inner dialogue. To discipline your mind is to seize the reins of your thoughts, to issue orders with clarity and unwavering purpose, and to demand obedience from every fleeting notion that dares resist your will. Every dream, every aspiration, every success begins here, within the quiet citadel of thought, where discipline conquers chaos. Consider the countless hours wasted chasing desires that never materialize. The body may move, but the mind, untamed, travels in 1,000 directions at once. Ideas collide, distractions multiply, and doubt seeps into the crevices of ambition. Here lies the silent enemy, ungoverned thought. Left unchecked, it undermines your efforts, sows hesitation, and whispers lies about your capacity. The man who cannot command his thoughts is at war with himself. He will strike, yet miss. He will move, yet falter. He will labor, yet achieve little beyond exhaustion. Command begins with awareness. You must know your thoughts as a general knows every soldier under his flag. Observe them, name them, understand their tendencies. Recognize the impulses that lead to regret, the doubts that paralyze progress, the distractions that steal focus. Awareness alone is insufficient, yet it is the first crucial step. Only when you can identify the movements of your own mind can you hope to direct them with precision. Discipline is born in observation, in vigilance, in the refusal to surrender to the chaos within. Then comes action, the decisive act of mental authority. Just as a general issues an order to his army, you must issue commands to your thoughts. Decide what will occupy your mind, and let nothing else intrude without consent. If fear arises, acknowledge it, but refuse to grant it power. If doubt surfaces, note it, but deny it dominance. Every thought must march in accordance with the objectives you have set. You are no longer a passive observer, you are the sovereign of your inner world. The mind that resists direction will soon learn obedience, for consistency is the architect of control. Napoleon Hill would remind you that this is not a trivial exercise. It is not self-persuasion, nor is it fleeting concentration. It is the deliberate cultivation of thought authority, a lifelong habit of command. Every minute spent mastering your internal dialogue compounds into hours, days, and years of focused, purposeful action. The thoughts you command today shape the choices of tomorrow. The decisions you govern now determine the outcomes of your destiny. The mind that marches in order becomes a force that shapes reality itself. The power of thought command transforms you from a participant in circumstance to the architect of your life. Chaos yields to order. Hesitation gives way to decisiveness. Resistance dissolves into determination. You begin to act not as a reaction to events, but as a creator of events. Obstacles no longer dictate your progress, for your thoughts align with your will, and your will drives deliberate, unstoppable action. The mind, disciplined, becomes the engine of purpose, and the body its obedient instrument. Let this be your commitment, to govern your thoughts with unwavering authority. Do not allow a stray fear, a passing impulse, or a seductive distraction to dictate your trajectory. The battlefield within is not a place to surrender, but to conquer. You will find that the more rigorously you command your inner world, the less the external world can obstruct you. Success, influence, and triumph begin in the disciplined mind, where every thought obeys, every impulse aligns, and every moment moves you inexorably toward your highest aim. The general commands, the army obeys. The master commands, the mind obeys. And in this obedience lies the quiet, unshakable power that transforms dreams into reality. You are now called to assume command. Allow nothing to resist your will. March your thoughts toward your purpose with the certainty of one who knows that the battlefield within determines the victory without. Patience is not the absence of action, it is the command of timing. The world glorifies speed, the instant, the immediate, yet every triumph worth having is born, not in haste, but in deliberate preparation. Napoleon Hill would remind you that the undisciplined mind craves reward before readiness. It plunges forward eager to seize without foundation, and in this impatience it stumbles and falls. But the disciplined mind, the mind that masters thought, chooses to wait, to sharpen itself, to observe, to prepare, until the moment of action aligns perfectly with the readiness of the soul. In patience lies the hidden strength that transforms mere desire into inevitable victory. Consider the countless men and women who rush toward their ambitions, driven by the heat of desire, only to find their efforts scatter in the wind. Their energy is real, their intent sincere, yet they act before the soil of opportunity has been tilled, before their intellect has been readied, before the forces of circumstance can support their cause. They call this failure, I call it premature action, a folly born of impatience. Every great achievement in history bears the mark of strategic waiting, of desire restrained and focused until the proper hour arrives. Patience is a weapon, not a cage. It is not acquiescence to the slow passage of time, but an assertion of control over when and how your power is unleashed. The man who waits is not idle. He is sharpening his skills, observing the patterns of life, understanding the tides of opportunity. He cultivates knowledge, hones discipline, strengthens will, and aligns thought with purpose. When he finally acts, it is not in chaos but in orchestration. His action carries the force of preparation, the weight of insight, and the precision of a mind fully disciplined. Napoleon Hill would urge you to see this. Delayed desire multiplies the power of action. Acting too soon scatters effort. Acting too late may miss opportunity. The disciplined mind learns the rhythm of success, when to stand, when to move, when to strike with certainty. In this careful timing, patience becomes exponential. Every delay, when properly invested in preparation, compounds strength, knowledge, and resilience. The impatient mind mistakes delay for denial. The disciplined mind sees delay as design. This is not a lesson in passivity, but in strategic readiness. The soil of opportunity must be fertile, your vision must be clear, and your mind must be resolute. Acting before these elements are aligned is to fight with one hand tied, to build without foundation. Acting with readiness is to summon all forces, visible and invisible, to your cause. Patience is the unseen ally that multiplies your power, the silent architect of inevitable victory. It is the difference between fleeting effort and enduring achievement. Reflect on the nature of desire. Unchecked desire is fire without direction, consuming energy, yet producing little. Delayed desire is fire contained, focused and ready to ignite the world at the precise moment. The mind that understands the strength of postponement gains clarity, endurance, and foresight. The man who waits with discipline turns every moment of anticipation into preparation, every hour of delay into the sharpening of weapons, invisible to the world. By the time action is taken, the world cannot resist it, for it is delivered with precision, power, and timing. Let this principle guide you. Do not mistake urgency for readiness. Do not confuse impatience with momentum. Train your mind to harness the strength of waiting. Every great accomplishment in history carries the imprint of deliberate timing, the evidence of a mind that knew when to act. The disciplined practitioner of delayed desire moves not at the whim of impulse, but at the rhythm of destiny. Patience is not a surrender to circumstance. It is the wielding of time itself as a weapon of profound, unstoppable strength. Emotions are the fire that fuels the human spirit, yet without discipline, fire consumes rather than illuminates. The world celebrates passion, exalting those who move with intensity, yet Napoleon Hill would caution that uncontrolled emotion is the architect of failure. Anger, fear, impatience, even joy, untempered by wisdom, each can breach the gates of your mind, scattering thought, shattering focus, and eroding the foundations of your destiny. To master your life, you must first master the currents of your own. Emotional restraint is not denial, it is command. It is the recognition that moods are messengers, not masters, and that the mind that bends to every gust of feeling will never stand firm in the storms of life. Consider the man who acts in haste because frustration burns in his chest. He lashes out, speaks too soon, decides under pressure, and the consequences echo far beyond the moment. Success eludes him not because he lacked skill or vision, but because his mind surrendered to the tyranny of feeling. Conversely, the man who tempers emotion with discipline, who pauses before reaction, who converts fear into vigilance, converts every challenge into an opportunity. He is not a man without passion. He is a man whose fire burns within boundaries, whose energy channels into purpose. This is the paradox. Restraint is not weakness. It is strength invisible to those enslaved by impulse. Napoleon Hill would remind you that the mind is a kingdom, and emotions are both allies and invaders. Left unchecked, they storm the walls, claim dominion, and redirect every endeavor. But controlled, they become instruments, amplifying courage, sharpening judgment, and lending urgency to action, precisely when it is needed. Emotional restraint is the art of knowing when to let the fire rage, and when to hold it in check, when to let hope rise and when to temper It is not suppression, but direction, a channeling of every feeling toward the fulfillment of purpose. Every great man in history has wrestled with this truth. The entrepreneur faced ridicule, but refused to succumb to embarrassment. The leader confronted betrayal but held back wrath, choosing strategy over immediate gratification. The inventor endured repeated failure, yet quelled despair, trusting the unseen pattern of success. Their secret was not a lack of emotion, but the mastery of it. They guarded the gates of their mind, allowing only thought aligned with purpose to enter, and in doing so, they became architects of destiny, rather than victims of circumstance. Understand this principle. The mind yields to emotion the moment you allow it to. Fear, anxiety, anger, and overexcitement are not merely transient feelings. They are forces that, if unbridled, drive every choice you make, every hasty word, every reaction without forethought, every decision made under duress carries the fingerprint of an unguarded mind. The disciplined man does not suppress these forces. He commands them. He converts fear into foresight, anger into resolve, joy into energy for consistent action. He understands that mastery of emotion is indistinguishable from mastery of life itself. Napoleon Hill would speak to you now as a voice across time. A man who cannot govern his moods will never govern his world. External circumstances will batter him, tempt him, and provoke him, yet the inner citadel of his mind remains impregnable. This is not the absence of suffering, the absence of challenge, or the absence of disappointment. It is the presence of self-command. It is the recognition that you alone determine which impulses will guide your destiny and which will be exiled at the gate. Let the storms of frustration, the winds of doubt, and the torrents of impatience come. Let fear and overexcitement press against the wall. If you have learned the art of restraint, your mind will not bend. It will not fracture. Your thoughts will remain clear, your decisions deliberate, your path unbroken. Every emotion becomes a servant, never a master. Every impulse is evaluated before permission is granted to act. You stand as a sentinel over your own consciousness, knowing that your destiny is forged not in reaction but in disciplined action. Embrace this truth. The mastery of emotion is the mastery of circumstance. The man who controls his inner world controls the outer world by extension. Each act of restraint is a brick in the fortress of achievement. Every deliberate pause, every mindful response, every measured thought constructs the architecture of a life no chaos can dismantle. Emotional restraint is not merely a skill, it is the very foundation of the indomitable mind. Guard the gates of your mind with vigilance, for in that vigilance lies the path to power, influence, and destiny itself. There exists a law, timeless and unyielding, that governs every achievement in human history, the law of singular focus. The mind, though vast and capable, cannot carry two burning visions at once. To scatter your energy across many ambitions is to water many seeds with a single drop. None will flourish, and all will wither. Napoleon Hill would warn, the illusion of multitasking ambition is the most deceptive enemy a man can face. You may toil tirelessly, move ceaselessly, and yet find yourself trapped in the very mediocrity you sought to escape. To conquer, you must first recognize the necessity of focus. Consider the countless men and women who pursued many dreams at once, believing that all desire is good and all energy should be expended. They divided attention between ventures, relationships, studies, and projects, only to find that nothing reached the brilliance of its potential. Each effort, diluted, failed to attract the unseen forces that respond to intensity of purpose. Momentum is not built in 100 directions. It emerges when all thought, all decision, all action converges upon a singular, unmistakable objective. This is the law. This is the discipline that separates the fleeting from the enduring, the ordinary from the remarkable. Focus is not mere preference, it is an act of war against distraction, indecision, and fear. To choose one central goal is to place a stake upon the horizon, a beacon by which your mind and spirit navigate the storms of life. Every impulse, every habit, every thought must bend toward this chosen point. The world will tempt you with diversions, opportunities that glitter but dilute, and the subtle voice of doubt that whispers, "Why not try everything?" Resist it. Resist all of it. To scatter your vision is to scatter your destiny. Napoleon Hill teaches that singular focus attracts the unseen forces of opportunity, synchronicity, and providence. When your mind is undivided, the universe itself seems to yield. Doors that once were invisible swing open. Allies appear in perfect timing. Resources converge where previously none existed. The law of singular focus is not merely about productivity, it is about alignment. Your attention becomes a magnet, drawing into your orbit the circumstances, people, and insight required to transform thought into tangible triumph. To practice this law, you must first confront the illusions that hold your mind hostage. The pursuit of multiple dreams is seductive because it promises security. If one fails, another will succeed. Yet this is deception. The energy required to chase many fires is insufficient to fuel even one to brilliance. The man who masters focus accepts the risk inherent in singularity, understanding that greatness demands undivided commitment. To aim at everything is to hit nothing. To aim at one with unrelenting intensity is to bend reality to your will. Singular focus is more than strategy, it is identity. The man who defines himself by one purpose carries it into every thought, every decision, every interaction. Every action becomes a soldier in the army of his goal. Distraction meets resistance at every turn, yet the disciplined mind prevails. Like a sculptor chiseling marble, persistence shapes the raw material of life into the form envisioned by concentrated intention. The strength of this law lies not in effort alone, but in effort harmonized with unwavering clarity. Let it be known, the law of singular focus is not a suggestion, it is a command of reality itself. To scatter, to flit, to indulge in mental and emotional dividedness is to invite failure. To concentrate all energy upon one goal is to awaken forces beyond comprehension. To harness the currents of destiny, to declare to the world that you will not be denied. Every great achievement in history obeyed this law, whether in commerce, art, invention, or revolution. It is the invisible engine behind every triumph. Embrace it. Choose your single objective with clarity. Devote mind, heart, and spirit to its pursuit. Let every distraction fall away, every temptation of multitasking dissipate, and let your energy converge like a laser upon the one vision that will define your life. In this law lies the secret to bending reality, commanding circumstance, and achieving what others deem impossible. The universe respects intensity. The universe bows to focus. You who now understand this principle have taken the first step toward unstoppable success. Wealth is never stumbled upon by accident. It does not arrive unbidden at the doorstep of the unprepared. It is not the product of luck, inheritance, or the passing whim of circumstance. True wealth, whether material, spiritual, or intellectual, is constructed brick by brick, thought by thought within the unseen chambers of the mind. Napoleon Hill reminds us that the mind is the silent architect of destiny, drafting the blueprints that reality will one day obey. And yet, most men and women live as if the mind were a passive vessel, permitting it to be cluttered with doubt, distraction, and indecision. The untrained mind repels opportunity. The disciplined mind, sharpened by focus and clarity, draws prosperity like iron to a magnet. Consider the countless individuals who chase wealth with frantic motion, yet achieve only frustration. They labor in haste, scattering their attention across ventures, convinced that movement is progress. They accumulate knowledge, contacts, and tools, yet they remain impoverished, not for lack of effort, but for lack of mental design. Their minds are chaotic, a house without foundation, and no amount of toil can erect stability upon sand. Hill would teach before any fortune manifests, it must first be conceived in thought, detailed in plan, and sustained by the unwavering confidence that it is not only possible but inevitable. The creation of wealth begins with a single principle: the mind must be clear in its purpose. To allow competing desires, fear, or resentment to occupy your mental landscape is to undermine the very foundation upon which prosperity is built. Every great fortune in history, every empire, every monumental achievement began as a disciplined vision within the mind of one person willing to master thought. Wealth is never accidental because thought is never accidental. Every dollar, every connection, every opportunity reflects the order or disorder of your inner world. Napoleon Hill would instruct that the mind must be treated as a sacred workshop where only ideas aligned with your chosen purpose are permitted to enter. To dwell upon scarcity, envy, or hesitation is to hand the architect's tools to ruin. To meditate upon growth, strategy, and action is to lay bricks with precision and faith. The disciplined mind anticipates obstacles not as threats, but as design elements, lessons shaping the architecture of triumph. It is this mental discipline, repeated with unwavering fidelity, that transforms invisible ideas into tangible results. The mind that designs wealth does so with three invisible forces at its command: clarity of purpose, persistence, and focused imagination. Clarity of purpose draws the contours of your vision, ensuring that every effort builds toward a single coherent structure. Persistence drives the relentless motion of construction, turning ideas into habits, habits into routines, and routines into results. Focused imagination allows the mind to foresee possibilities that the eye cannot yet see, summoning opportunities from a world that responds to the intensity of thought. Wealth is rarely conjured from circumstance alone. It is magnetized by the disciplined mental architecture that precedes. Yet the mind's power extends beyond the accumulation of material resources. It attracts alliances, opportunities, and influence, elements invisible to the casual observer but as critical as capital itself. The scattered mind repels these forces. Half-hearted effort, uncertainty, and indecision create turbulence that others sense, and they recoil, leaving the unprepared to struggle alone. The person who has mastered mental discipline radiates certainty, competence, and purpose. The universe itself bends subtly, placing allies and openings before those who act from a mind of order. Wealth in all its forms favors the prepared, the focused, and the mentally vigilant. Let us also recognize that wealth is not merely measured in coins or spiritual abundance. Intellectual richness and emotional fortitude are all manifestations of this same law. The mind that designs wealth commands not only external resources but internal mastery. The calm, deliberate mind chooses investments wisely, communicates effectively, and attracts collaboration without coercion. It is not swayed by fleeting trends, nor does it panic in adversity. The disciplined mind is a magnet, and the life it constructs is a reflection of its internal clarity. In conclusion, understand this: the mind is the silent architect of all your fortunes. Chaos within produces chaos without. Order within produces results without. To cultivate wealth, one must cultivate thought. To attract opportunity, one must focus imagination. To forge alliances, one must radiate certainty. Wealth is not a matter of luck or timing. It is the natural outcome of the mind trained to conceive, plan, and persist. Guard it, focus it, and build with unwavering discipline. In the chambers of your own consciousness lies the blueprint for the life you desire. The world will respond not to your wishes but to the architecture of your thought. Not every desire deserves your pursuit. There are ambitions whispered to you by the world, dressed in gold and applause, yet hollow at their core. Napoleon Hill teaches that the mind must first weigh the worth of a goal before committing its energy, for unexamined ambition is a pathway to distraction, frustration, and wasted life. The disciplined mind recognizes that not all treasures glitter. Some are illusions that drain the soul and consume the hours meant for the construction of true legacy. To chase every desire is to scatter the soul's power. To measure the value of a goal, to test it against the compass of your highest principles, is to step onto the threshold of worthiness, the place where your dreams align with destiny. The threshold of worthiness is a quiet gate, often invisible to those who rush. It asks questions that few have the courage to answer. Does this pursuit honor my values? Does it elevate my character? Will the victory once won bring lasting fulfillment or fleeting satisfaction? Many fail to pause, blinded by the siren song of immediate reward, and they cross into endeavors that diminish rather than uplift. Hill's wisdom reminds us that a goal without alignment is a storm that tosses the spirit, no matter how great its apparent promise. Only those who measure ambition against the scale of life's true purpose find the clarity to act decisively. To approach this threshold is to confront the self with honesty. The mind must separate impulse from intuition, desire from destiny. Consider the countless individuals who have climbed mountains of achievement only to find emptiness at the summit. They chased goals for recognition, for wealth, for the fleeting validation of others. Their minds were active, their bodies in motion, yet the internal blueprint was flawed. The threshold of worthiness exists to prevent such misalignment, to compel reflection before action, to demand that your pursuits honor the architecture of your life, not merely the expectations of the world. Once you learn to pause, to test the resonance of your goals against your innermost values, a transformation occurs. Every step you take becomes intentional. Every effort becomes leverage. Hill teaches that the disciplined mind does not move in haste, it moves with precision. It invests energy only in pursuits worthy of its labor, ensuring that every struggle, every sacrifice is a brick in a fortress of lasting achievement. Here, patience is not hesitation, and discernment is not fear. They are instruments of power. They preserve the mind's resources for the endeavors that will echo through life, that will yield rewards both tangible and spiritual. Crossing the threshold of worthiness is also an act of courage. It requires the strength to say no when the world shouts yes. To refuse hollow victories, to reject the applause of the unexamined, is to demonstrate mastery over desire. The disciplined mind must sometimes forsake the alluring paths to take the narrow way that leads to enduring fulfillment. Every choice that honors alignment reinforces the identity of one who is unshakable, untempted by the trivial, and committed to the design of a life worth living. The lessons of worthiness ripple beyond the attainment of a single goal. They teach the mind to recognize quality over quantity, substance over show. They prepare the individual to navigate opportunity without compromise, to build alliances rooted in shared principles, to invest effort where it bears the highest return, not only in wealth, but in character. Hill's prophetic voice reminds us, a man who pursues the unworthy risks not just failure, but the erosion of his own inner authority. To discern, to pause, to evaluate, this is the work of the mind as it crosses the threshold. In conclusion, understand this: before every pursuit, place your ambition at the threshold of worthiness. Allow your disciplined mind to examine its alignment with values, purpose, and legacy. Only then, with clarity and conviction, step forward. Pursue that which is worthy of your energy, worthy of your courage, worthy of the life you are destined to lead. In doing so, every effort becomes meaningful, every victory fulfilling, and the architecture of your life becomes a testament to deliberate, aligned, and disciplined design. The gate is here, awaiting those willing to measure ambition against truth, and those who pass through enter a life that is not merely lived but crafted. True mastery is not measured at the moment of triumph. It is not the fleeting elation of achievement or the applause of spectators that marks a life well lived. Napoleon Hill teaches that the ultimate test of a person's greatness is revealed when the goal has been reached, and yet the mind remains disciplined, ordered, and unshaken. Most chase ambition as if victory alone is the summit, as if the attainment of a goal will render them whole, complete, and victorious in every sphere of life. But the highest form of mastery is the cultivation of a mind that carries its discipline beyond the finish line, into seasons of abundance and scarcity alike, into moments of visibility and solitude, into cycles of ease and of trial. Here, we confront the eternal truth: discipline, once forged, must not retire with the goal. The journey of relentless mental order begins long before the goal appears tangible. Every habit, every thought, every act of focus contributes to the architecture of the mind, preparing it to function at a level beyond circumstance. Consider the countless individuals who achieve, only to falter shortly thereafter, undone not by the challenge, but by the absence of structure and control that first carried them forward. Hill's prophetic voice reminds us, the goal is a tool, a mirror of potential, not the master. True mastery is proven when the framework of discipline outlives desire, when the mind remains poised, deliberate and resolute even after the reward has been claimed. To cultivate this enduring discipline, one must first internalize the principle that effort is not seasonal. Discipline is not a habit that flickers with excitement or fades in the absence of urgency. It is the continuous alignment of thought, emotion, and action. It is the unwavering fidelity to ordered thinking that transforms chaos into clarity. When you train the mind to act with purpose even when immediate gain is absent, you prepare yourself for every challenge that life may present. The disciplined mind becomes a fortress, immune to the tempests of circumstance, unshaken by the applause or criticism of others, and untroubled by the illusions of fortune. Hill emphasizes that the pursuit of mastery is less about external recognition and more about internal sovereignty. To carry discipline beyond a goal requires the willingness to continue the practices that shaped achievement: reflection, self-correction, intentional effort, and the control of impulses. Even when a goal is no longer pressing, when the stakes seem low, the disciplined mind does not waver. It persists in order, in clarity, in the careful alignment of desire with action. This is the subtle alchemy of greatness. The mind trained to perform under pressure continues to perform when comfort tempts slackness, when reward tempts complacency, when success tempts distraction. Consider the seasons after victory, often the most dangerous moments in a life of pursuit. Here, mediocrity waits quietly, ready to reclaim those who have rested too soon. The true measure of mastery is revealed not in the ascension to a summit, but in the continued vigilance once the peak has been reached. Hill's timeless counsel is clear. The disciplined mind does not retire. It recognizes that life is a continuum of challenges, and that each season demands the same rigor, the same alignment, the same ordered thinking that built the initial success. It is the unwavering commitment to structure, to mental clarity, to ordered action, that distinguishes those who become legends from those who are forgotten. To achieve this enduring discipline, one must embrace a philosophy of permanence over immediacy. The mind must learn to operate independently of circumstance, to maintain clarity and poise in victory and in loss, to master thought and emotion with the same consistency regardless of reward. Hill would remind us that greatness is a reflection of the mind's order, not the fleeting outcome of a goal. A mind disciplined beyond desire becomes a reservoir of strength, wisdom, and readiness, capable of generating opportunity, guiding others, and sustaining achievement across decades and generations. In conclusion, the discipline that outlives the goal is the hallmark of true mastery. It is the transformation that shapes a life, the order that defines character, and the preparation that equips one for every conquest yet to come. The mind trained in this way does not rely upon the presence of a target. It moves with precision, control, and purpose regardless of circumstance. It is the eternal readiness of a mind that knows how to act, when to pause, and how to align action with principle. When you carry discipline into every season of life, you enter a state of mastery beyond measure, where victory is not a moment, but a condition, and where your mind remains a fortress of clarity, power, and relentless purpose, ready to build, achieve, and transform again and again.